What if assets continue to stay shaky and they don't rise? How prepared are you for that? And how prepared am I for that? Now, this is something I've been thinking about. And to go back for a little bit of context, a couple of years ago, I was starting to question people and ask them whether they thought we're now in an income season. Now, how an income season is different from an asset season is when we're in an asset season, we love logging in, seeing that our assets are increasing in value, specifically property here in New Zealand, and then that allows us to go and do more shit because we have more equity and we can leverage off of the assets increasing. But if we don't have that, like we haven't had in terms of property for the last couple of years here in New Zealand, how do people then access credit? How do they access more money? Now, for a lot of people, they don't learn how to increase their income nor make more money. And so leaning on assets increasing during an asset season is how they access more cash. Now, at the moment, we're seeing a very, very shaky share market as well. Now, in New Zealand, with property, which is probably the main thing that people then use for leverage to access credit, that's slowed down massively too. And in 2024, it was one of the lowest years for some time where people have borrowed against the equity in their property and, for better words, put it on the mortgage. That means that they can't access the cash to go and put a spa in, to go on holiday, to put the kids through tuition, etc. That's how we then end up piping more money into the system. And all of that slowed down. Now, if asset prices in terms of property don't increase in the coming years, then what happens? Well, people can't do that, and we will have a slower economy. But you would assume, based on history, that property doubles every 10 years or it increases at 5, 6, 7%, and that's what all the banks are predicting again. But they got that wrong in 2024. But why I think they talk that up so much, because they don't do that for Bitcoin, they don't do that for the NZX50, they don't do that for specific stocks, no. But every week in the media we have multiple commentaries and articles around what's going to happen to house prices, because I think that they know deep down that people rely on assets increasing in order for them to be able to access more credit, to be able to spend that money, to feel wealthier, because we don't teach people in New Zealand how to make more money. Now, I kind of thought a couple of years ago, shit, maybe we're going into an income season, meaning that we have to learn how to increase our income if we want more cash. Now, I think I may have been proven correct, given house prices didn't really move. And I'll tell you what did fucking move. That's a lot of Kiwi people leaving the country. And they're leaving the country because they can increase their income by going to Australia. Now, if we taught all of these people how to increase their income, then maybe they wouldn't need to leave. A lot of them would still probably go, but because we don't teach people how to increase their income, a lot of their answers have been, well, I need to leave the country, because if I want to earn more in a season where assets aren't increasing and incomes aren't increasing either, then my way to do it is to move to a different country where they pay me more for the same job. Very specific there, pay me more for the same job. Now, they're not really doing anything differently. They're just getting paid more in a bigger economy where they're valued more for what it is that they can do. Now, money exchanges hands when value exceeds price. So in Australia, those people will be paid more because to the employer, that person is valued at what they're willing to pay them. In New Zealand, the employer can't make sense of paying the person that level of income. Now, because this person is somewhat out of control of their income, because we don't teach people in New Zealand how to get in control of your income, then they have to go, and they go, oh, I get paid more over here and the market values me more. But for all of us who don't do that, then we may need to learn how to increase our own income, and solely relying on your employer or the government to do it is a very, very dangerous strategy. Now, I understand that not everybody wants to go and get in control of their income and look at ways to increase their income, but in an income season, you're kind of forced to do that a little bit. And clearly tens of thousands of Kiwis have gone, I kind of get this. I feel like something's broken here, so I'm going to go. And so that's what they're doing in order to get back in control of it. Now, I kind of wonder, what happens if property doesn't increase as fast as all the economists think that it will, just like it didn't in 2024? Then we saw no one drawing down credit against their property. Then how long does that go on for? Now, just as we get out of New Zealand's recession and the economy starts to turn with lower interest rates, what if America sneezes and they have their recession, which is looking more increasingly likely? Fuck. You know, we're just going to be coming out of the New Zealand one, and now we're going to have to deal with global headlines around America entering a recession. How does everybody respond to that? What happens to asset prices here? What happens to business confidence? What happens to credit creation? What happens to the access to credit? I don't know, and I don't think any of us do, but we're going to watch it play out. But often I try and educate people about learning to increase your own income and how that's okay as a skill to do. And I think increasingly we're going to need to do that, because even if in an asset season where property is increasing in value, you still have to wait for it to increase in value for you to then be able to then go and access it, to then go and spend that equity via a rental property or renovations, or using your house like a giant credit card effectively, but you still have to be able to service the debt. Now, if you can't, like, how do we get in control of servicing the debt? By being in control of our income. So I think we've really moved into an income season, but we're not talking about it nor being too honest about it. But people know something is broken. That's why so many people have left. Now, I wonder if it settles back down, or I wonder if maybe we're going to be in a period like this for some time. So with that knowledge, I guess you've got to place your bet, and you've got to figure out, are you going to rely on assets increasing for you to feel wealthier, for you to feel like your income is increasing? That's economic income in the eyes of some people, assets increasing in value, and maybe you're not even realizing that to then be able to spend that. But truly getting in control of your income by increasing your value and solving problems and adding value to the marketplace is one way that you can get in control of your own income. But what's going to happen if we have, people feeling like they're not as wealthy because their stocks are going backwards, given what's happening out there at the moment? And maybe let's just say the S&P 500 and international stocks have peaked, and we've had 2 years realistically of good returns, people's Kiwi savers, people's investments, saving into the S&P 500. If we don't have that this year, how are people going to feel? We had, I think, 2 roughly like 20% type years, which again, like, that's pretty crazy. What if now we have a negative 20? Now we've got a year where it's basically like, we can't lean on feeling wealthy because assets have increased. So it's a fascinating thing to watch play out. And I'm really interested to see how the rest of 2025 plays out in terms of asset values, both domestically here in New Zealand with property and also with shares internationally. But people have to be very careful that you don't keep logging into your asset values and checking the prices of those and hoping that you're going to get wealthier via assets increasing just because everybody has for the last 40 years because they keep blowing the bubble up. But maybe that doesn't happen, and we waste all of this time not focusing on how we can increase our own income. But the contrarian of that would be, no, the American economy will get shaky, and then they will drop interest rates massively, they will stimulate it, they will print more money again, and we'll effectively be doing that here at the same time. And then eventually that money will wash through the system, and it will then increase the value of assets. Kind of like what we saw in the pandemic, where house prices rocketed up 40-something% because of cheap interest rates and the amount of credit that was available for people. But it seems the settings have been changed for that to probably not be able to happen again, because surely we've learnt a big lesson there, but we really blew into that bubble. And I think a lot of people have woken up to the fact that's fucked. Your utility of where you live, sleep, raise children, rest, recover, to then go back out into the workforce in the world the following day has increased in price by 40%. That's probably not what we want happening as a country and as an economy. And now we've seen so many young people go, Dad, I'm out of here as well. I'm not standing for that. That seems broken. So I don't think we can let that happen again. And I think the powers that be will be smart enough to not let something like that happen again. But I could be wrong. Anyway, we're in a fascinating economic time, and if you're not staying on your toes nor thinking about increasing your income, you do run the risk that you're just waiting for your wealth to build because of assets and to feel richer and to be able to access more due to an asset season that maybe, just maybe, we are not in right now, and maybe we won't be for some time.